Hey guys, so in today's video I have another Photoshop time lapse, and as I said in my previous Photoshop time lapse, I am a little out of practice, but that is part of the reason for my continuing to work in Photoshop, because I don't like the feeling of staying out of practice once I realize that it's an issue. I've never really liked the phrase practice makes perfect because I'm personally of the mindset that nothing is ever truly perfect and there's always something we can do to improve in some way. So that's kind of the idea behind my working in Photoshop more often, is because I do like the results of my work when I am working in Photoshop, then I kind of want to work with that so that I can create pieces that I am proud of. So in this piece, I incorporated two figures into it, and there were several reasons for this. The first being that it just fit with the concept of the piece that I had in mind. The other kind of has to do with the whole concept of practice and making yourself better. I find that as my skills as an artist continue to improve, then the things that I was doing before tend to come easier to me. And there's nothing wrong with that, not some of the time, but when all you ever do comes easily to you, I personally feel as though there is something you could be doing to push yourself and to make yourself better. And for me, that's been working a lot more in full scenes instead of just portraits, which is what I was doing for a very long period of time there. I mean, it was a few months at least, if not longer. And I found that I got very annoyed with myself, very frustrated with the results that I was getting. Because even though they were okay portraits, they weren't different, they weren't unique, and I didn't feel like I was doing any better than I had done the day before. And because of this, I decided to push myself more in doing full scenes and more full body poses, and in this case, a couple of characters interacting, which is something I haven't really done a whole lot of. I did one piece a while ago with two characters fighting, and then recently I did the woman staring into the mirror, which I did a time lapse of. But it's not something that I am extremely skilled at, and at some point in the future I do think it would be fun to do a graphic novel or maybe a webcomic or something with some of my characters and my stories. So I knew that I needed to be better before I could do that. And I needed to be better at composition, I needed to be better at people interacting, and I knew that I was never going to get that if I just did nothing and I never drew those things. And I think I may have used this idea before on this channel, but I kind of look at drawing in a similar manner as I look at working out, where if I feel like something is easy, then I feel like I'm not working hard enough. Because when you work out, if your muscles are sore, then it means you pushed yourself and you're going to be stronger. And I feel like the same thing does apply to art in a sense, because if you are never pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone and you're never trying new things, then you're never going to get any better, just like you'll never get any stronger if your muscles are never sore. And I think the hard thing for us, not only as artists, but just as people, is when we do something and we don't see improvement right away. And that it's an incremental progression of improvement. And that can be frustrating to us. Kind of unrelated, but somewhat related to the idea of improvement, is that for the past week or so, I have been trying to learn guitar. Now, guitar is something I have wanted to do all of my life, but any sort of music just never made sense to me. It didn't make sense, and I liked to use that as an excuse as to why I never tried to be good at music. And I eventually got tired of that because it's just not me. I get very frustrated when I can't do things, and I don't like making excuses. And when I realized that I had been making excuses about the guitar and about music, I got a little annoyed with myself, and so I just decided, all right, you know what? I am going to learn guitar. And I don't care if I don't understand it at first, because maybe it's like art. Because in a way, I mean, music is art. It's just a different type of art than I'm used to. And so I figure it's like drawing, where you are not going to be better at it overnight. One day you're going to be bad at it. Quote unquote bad, because I've talked about bad art before and how I don't feel as though really there's a such thing as bad art, but you get the idea. One day you don't like your results, and then the next day you're still not liking your results, but you tried something new and you are a little bit better than you were before. And it happens gradually. I mean, I've been drawing my entire life, and it took me that long to get to the point where I am today. So I realized that I couldn't make those excuses with my guitar. I couldn't say, I'm just not good at it. Because why am I not good at it? Well, because I'm making excuses. Because I'm not making a commitment to it. And so I decided to make a commitment to it. And I've only been doing it for about a week, and I'm not that good. I'm really kind of horrible. But I've been seeing very, very small improvements as I work at it. Especially when I look back at what I had done previously, where I used to not be able to transition between chords very well. And I still can't transition between them very well, but I can transition between them a little bit better than I could yesterday. And so I understand the frustration and feeling like you're not improving with your artwork, because I still feel like that with my drawing, but more recently I feel like that with my guitar. But I think it's a matter of just plugging along, to just do it and slowly and incrementally get better and better and better. And it will build on itself. It will. And I can kind of see that a little bit in this digital piece, where I feel like this is one of my better digital pieces that I've done. And I said that about my last one. And I kind of feel like the goal is to constantly feel like that. Maybe not every single time you create an art piece, but always feel like there's something different about what you did. For instance, I had never done a night sky with stars digitally. I have done a few without stars, but I've never done something with stars. And that final finishing touch on this, even though I did it a little before the final touches because I was impatient. That made me feel good about the piece. And I tried to add texture to the water, and I tried to put the reflection of the moon in the water. And, you know, it's one of those things where if I'm only pushing myself slowly, but even just that little bit of pushing is enough to slowly get better, because practice makes better. And another thing that was new to me in this piece was using outlines that weren't black. That was something else I did for the figure behind this boy. I didn't want to do black outlines because I thought it would be too harsh for the feeling that I was going for. So I was really, really, really nervous about using an outline that wasn't black because I had never done it before, and I knew that she was going to take a long time to outline, and I didn't want it to not turn out. But in the end, I think it did, and I think it benefited from my experimenting and my practicing and my slowly getting better and stretching myself. So I hope that this was useful to you in some way, that maybe if you were uncertain about something that you've been wanting to try in your art, that this would motivate you to try it. Maybe it won't turn out perfectly the first time, but that's okay. So if you like this piece, there are prints available and there are links in the description, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.